We are now joined on the Reign Central guest line by the CEO and founder of Black Sports Online, Robert Littal. What's happened today, Robert? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Got a little exciting last night and this morning.
Yeah,
things going on.
Yeah, I was sitting there following that all, trying to keep up with all of it, and just the first thing is, before we even get into what you were dealing with, the term ghetto tendencies. I mean, that just seems incredibly stereotyping and just inflammatory of a thing for Deion Sanders to go about saying.
Yeah, I don't like the term.
No.
You know, in the way that he phrased it was, if you're successful and you just happen to be, like rap music and kind of do your own thing and go to the clubs and hang out with girls and athletes and stuff like that, that's some sort of, ghetto, card or black card that you get or something like that, when, in reality, that's not the case. There's nothing ghetto about Johnny Manziel. I mean, he's upper middle class, if I'm not mistaken. So just to throw that in there, instead of just saying, hey, the guy's confident, he's a little flashy, he likes to, listen to this, music, he made it into a more of a racial thing.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe people do see it as that stereotype and why they feel a little uneasy at times about Johnny Manziel. But, if part of, getting rid of stereotypes is not using, and bringing them up yourself. And that's what I thought he did wrong in that comment.
Yeah, I mean, it just, when you look at it, the quote is, because he was successful, he made it, and he let you all know he made it, and he was cocky, he was flamboyant, and he let you know. And I'm thinking, well, boy, I mean, he could be talking about Johnny Manziel or Bryce Harper or Deshaun Jackson or, you just keep on naming athletes. I mean, he's, to me, just describing an athlete than more than, I mean, there's no, for him to call that a quote-unquote ghetto tendency, it was like, Deion, are you just trying to get people to pay attention to you? It just seems such an odd statement.
It's an inflammatory,
yeah.
Statement, and it's a shock value statement. And, anybody could come from nothing and raise themselves up and be proud enough and want to splurge, on, their happiness and their success. They could be white, black, Mexican. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be from the ghetto. I'm from a inner city in St. Louis. And, I like to think that I've, kind of pulled myself up, went to college, got my degree, doing okay, but I would never consider myself, I would never say I have ghetto tendencies. I just work hard for what I got. And to say that it's just kind of like, when people get, money and we have to be flashy and everything, it's almost like saying, Johnny Manziel is, like, what the Dolphins say, the honorary black guy,
yeah.
The honorary white guy that acts black, when in reality he's just Johnny Manziel, that's just who he is.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would have said that if that was so. So what does that make? Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Does that make him? White. Tendencies. Well, what are you really trying to say with that? And I thought, the whole thing was just, wrong on his part.
Yeah, and it was just, I just saw, it was just. We see so often just guys in the media, they're just saying things for the sake of saying things. And I often feel like they're not really considering the ramifications of what they're putting out there. And I guess that's a whole nother topic. But, I guess from what I was reading into what you were reporting on this is that Deion Sanders' camp started saying that you were inaccurately portraying the story and just downright lying about it.
Yeah, and that's what the conversation was last night. Here's the first thing that everyone needs to know is I was not aware what Deion had said. Mm-hmm. I had got an email from them saying, hey, we want you to promote this. We want you to promote Deion Sanders saying Johnny Manziel has ghetto, tendencies. That's in the email that I have.
Yeah.
Someone asking me to do that from a PR, standpoint. So, for him to come out and, blatantly say, it wasn't any explanation, it wasn't any clarification, it was, I didn't say that, you stop lying. And to me that was just uncalled for and unnecessary for someone in his position to say that when we have audio and transcripts from the actual, the show, that they gave us the transcripts and the audio of you saying it. And then to just, almost, 24 hours later, to just refuse to acknowledge that you said it, even though it's been on, 30 different websites, ESPN, SI, CBS, Dan Patrick, all of these different, shows, and you still refuse to acknowledge, A, that you said it, and B, that you were wrong in calling my writer, my staff member, a liar, which is, to me, in our business, is one of the worst things that you can be, called.
Yeah, well, it just seems so odd because you tweeted out, what they were saying, and it made no sense because I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is on multiple websites. It's not like it was a story that just you were covering. It had picked up, like you said, national attention. So why, do you know if they came after anyone else for the story?
Not at all. Not at all. And that was something that I pointed out to them, Did you call ESPN liars? Did you call CBS Sports or Pro Football Talk or all of these other things? This is a story that had no traction until Black Sports Online put it up. And then all of the other majors or mainstream media picked up on it. Now all of a sudden everybody's quiet. No one wants to talk, or they're making excuses. Oh, we were just joking. Or, he didn't really mean it in that way. But he himself has never explained exactly what we allegedly were lying about. And to me, when you're someone like Deion Sanders, someone as popular as he is, someone that has such a big voice as he does, someone that on his Twitter page and in public always preaches about truth and the Lord and all of this stuff, but you can't simply, say that you were wrong and give an apology, to me was unacceptable.
Yeah, no, that's pretty weak. And, I usually enjoy Deion a pretty good amount because I find him entertaining at the very least. I just saw this whole story yesterday. It left a very, very bad taste in my mouth. And I imagine for you, you've got to be, a bit ticked off because there might be people out there who think that, Rob Littal and Black Sports Online, they embellished here. They ran with something that wasn't true. How do you react to this?
Well, I was very upset because when Deion first tweeted this out, a lot of people, because the way people are these days in social media, they don't go and backtrack and read or anything like that. As soon as he tweeted, the assumption was, well, that's Deion Sanders. This is Robert Littal. So we're just going to believe, Deion Sanders right off the bat, and a lot of, language that I can't say on the air came back, toward me. And there are going to be people out there, regardless if the audio has been played 100 times or the transcripts have been out there, that's going to say, well, we remember that time that Black Sports Online lied on Deion Sanders. And I know, and we've talked about this before, we do stories that are not just sports. We also do stories that are sports entertainment. Yeah. But I make a point. If I don't know exactly if the truth, we will tell you. This is allegedly, this is a report, this is a rumor. We have never, ever said something is the absolute truth unless we had some sort of documentation or proof that it was. And in this case, it's 100%, not 99.9, 100% clear. What we wrote as a headline and what we wrote in that story was exactly his word to a T, no doubt. And to me, it's, I can deal with a lot of different stuff. I can deal with trolls. I can deal with people saying, oh, you shouldn't, write about, his daughter dating Little Boosie and all of this stuff. I can deal with all that because I think those are fair, but I can't deal with someone calling us a liar when it's 100% verifiable fact that we told the truth. Yeah,
and I guess now, are you just kind of taking the opinion of, well, we got, more notoriety? Do you try to look at this as the point as well? Any, exposure is better than no exposure?
No, I don't look at it like that way. Okay. I understand it's a business. We need page views just like, anybody else. But if I honestly just wanted just page views, I could just make up a lot of stuff, throw allegedly on the end of it, and the next thing I know, I would have a lot more than what I have, right now. To me, our credibility is the reason, that we're able to go out and cover events. It's the reason that I can go to the Final Four. It's the reason that Vashti can cover a regional, or we can go to the Mayweather fight or the Super Bowl or the draft. If we lose that credibility, why would the NFL, why would NCAA, why would NBA, want us, on press row if they had that type of nervousness that we would lie or just falsely make up a story. So to me, I don't want this type of attention. If you want to give us attention, for a story and debate it and critique it, that's fine. I like that. but I don't want attention for being, called a liar on something that I know is true.
All right. Well, out here in San Francisco, we put the word out that you are not a liar, and it's 100% verifiable. Everything regards to this story. And like you said, the transcripts are there. There's nothing to make up.
Exactly. And like I said, I was a little upset, when I went to sleep last night because I felt, that I had been done wrong, but my faith was restored, as I woke up this morning and I saw, a lot of mainstream media and others, step up to the plate and say, hey, look, we've known Rob, we've known the site for a long period of time. We can hear, we're not dummies. We can read, we can listen, and we can see that, he and his reporter, did nothing wrong. And I don't think she should have to deal with, Deion, whatever his issue is, blasting that back on her, and to be condescending and calling her, sis and saying stay positive and all of this other stuff except an apology, I think was very condescending and very rude and very inappropriate for someone in his position, someone that I've talked to one-on-one before and I've known, casually for many years that can easily reach and find someone himself or someone else to reach out, to me. I'm readily accessible. I just felt it was very disrespectful, and I'm not one to get upset. A lot of times I'm a one that, kind of smile and let things roll off of my back type of guy.
Yeah, definitely.
But in this case, I felt the need that I had to stand up for what I spent the last 10 years of building and the credibility, of my, staff, because, loyalty is something that, is not, unfortunately, people don't have anymore. But I am very loyal and very committed, to my staff, and they would not do that, what he was alleging that she did. And that just upset me. And maybe this is not the best platform for this, but, in a society where a lot of times we talk about the man holding us down, in reality, sometimes it's each other, us, African Americans.
Yeah, but even outside of that, for you, like you said, this comes down to someone questioning your journalistic integrity. And like you said, that's what you've worked for your entire life. So why are you going to let somebody else come in there and, try and take that from you? And, I appreciate, you coming on and having your piece about that, and I back you up 100%. I do have to get on to one more topic with you, though, and that was the article that Richard Sherman wrote for Monday Morning Quarterback. And I continue to be a huge supporter of Richard Sherman. I wish he presented himself a little bit better because he's such a smart, interesting, fascinating character in the NFL, and I think everyone should read his column on Monday Morning Quarterback. And he talked about Deshaun Jackson and that whole situation, which I hope you can comment on quickly here as well, because we're running out of time. And I think that there were some flawed aspects of Richard Sherman's column. However, I did get the essence of everything he was talking about, and you can't just throw away your past and forget about where you're from. And, he alludes to the points that regarding Riley Cooper and how the Philadelphia Eagles responded to him versus Deshaun Jackson. So I just, if I could get your take on that whole, on Richard Sherman and his whole take on the situation with Philadelphia and Deshaun Jackson.
Well, I think it was what the problem is with that particular article is it told 75%, of the story. It did not mention any of Deshaun Jackson's alleged shortcomings that also could have been a contributing factor to why people think this, right now. It did not speak to, the late meetings and the suspension and the issues that he had with Andy, Reid and the alleged quitting on the team and all of these other little things, that maybe had built up in Philadelphia that led to his release. I think maybe the gang ties and the pictures and all of that stuff were more of a red herring, just something to kind of gloss over some of the other things that were happening. I think Richard Sherman is exactly correct in what he said as far as generalities. Yeah. But with Deshaun Jackson, it's a little bit more complicated because it's not just him throwing up a Crip sign or hanging out with some, shady, individuals. We've known that for years. It may have been more to it than that, and it's just not he just got wronged. I think he has some responsibility, have to take some responsibility for the reasons that he's no longer with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, awesome. Good stuff. We got to go, Robert, but I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Great stuff. And again, man, just, I feel you on the sense that somebody coming after your journalistic integrity, you got to fight back. And I'm very glad that you did, man. That's awesome stuff, especially when, you're taking on somebody who's established as Deion Sanders in his camp.